So today we're going to take a look at how a new tech, which is called LIFI, could help blow the lid off the potential for XRP and Ripple. So let's check it out. Hey, this is Lucas and welcome to the channel. We know that Ripple's goal is to bank the unbanked and power remittances through their ODL platform, which is just basically XRP. And we do see Ripple making huge partnerships in some of the largest remittance markets in the world, like the Middle East. Check this out.
You've been able to build into the Ripple growth story? Have you been able to come to any new agreements? Because a lot of the cross-border payments, the big channels, come through this part of the world.
It's really true. I mean, this is a major centerpiece of remittance networks, and certainly the immigrant populations here in the Middle East, and certainly here in the kingdom between India, Pakistan, the Philippines. And so, these have always been populations which pay very high fees for their remittance traffic. And what we're focused on is bringing those down. The Middle East has been one of our fastest growing regions. We've grown network activity for Ripple-enabled payments 5x year on year here in the Middle East. It's our fastest growing region. And I think it really is only just getting started because it is such a center point, as you described.
Ripple is making this happen with mobile phone money remittance apps, and also the fact that there's a high number of internet users in the Middle East who are able to gain access to these mobile apps. 99% of the population in the UAE has access to the internet. So let's take a look at a couple other statistics. One is the number of unbanked. Globally, around 2 billion people remain unbanked. With the world's population sitting at around 7.8 billion people, this means that over 25% of the world's population are without banking facilities. A big reason there are so many unbanked people in the world is because they don't have access to the infrastructure to be banked. Whether it's the financial infrastructure like a bank or the internet infrastructure to facilitate the use of financial apps. And over here, we see that more than 4 billion people, mostly in developing countries, still don't have access to the internet. This means that over half of the world's population is missing out on the life-changing benefits of connectivity, from financial services to health and education being brought out about the increasing pace of innovation known as the Fourth Industrial Revolution. So there's 2 billion unbanked and 4 billion without internet access. So now what is the potential for Ripple and XRP if it tapped into this market and these billions had internet access and was able to use their smartphones for banking, whether through the use of their country's CBDCs or through remittances? So now let's take a look at India. India has the second largest unbanked population in the world. While India is quite proud about adding more individuals into the formal banking system, the number of people with bank accounts grew from 53% in 2014 to 80% in 2017. It is not enough. As many as 191 million Indians over the age of 15 are still without a bank account. This figure places the country next to China, where roughly 224 million Chinese above the age of 15 do not have a bank account. One reason for this huge number of the population being unbanked is because it does not have access to the internet. And we also see that India, when we see this top 10 remittance markets in the world, India ranks at number 1 with $83 billion. And we also see over here, according to the World Economic Forum, is that India is the world's fastest growing large economy, having outpaced China over the past year. At the same time, the population is growing rapidly. By 2022, India's population will have overtaken China's to become the largest in the world, according to a United Nations report. The middle class is also growing at a breakneck speed and will one day overtake the rest of the world too. And we've seen that Ripple is making big partnerships in India. Central Bank deploying blockchain technology with confirmed RippleNet partners. The Reserve Bank of India recently announced on July 19, 2022 that they are deploying blockchain technology for smoother payments across borders. They proceed to follow up with some statements that suspiciously sound like RippleNet and XRP could be involved. This is not confirmed information, but we are speculating that this may be the case considering RBI is partnered with 3 Ripple-enabled banks, Axis Bank, Yes Bank, and Kotak Mahindra. But we know that the lack of internet makes it hard for growing middle-class populations like India to take advantage of these emerging financial services. And the logistics of providing internet to everybody is very difficult. Let's listen to Harold Haas tell us about the problems of today's internet.
It is this importance that why I decided to look into the issues that this technology has, because it's so fundamental to our lives. And one of the issues is capacity. The way we transmit wireless data is using electromagnetic waves, in particular radio waves. And radio waves are limited, they are scarce, they are expensive, and we only have a certain range of it. It is this limitation that doesn't cope with the demand of wireless data transmission, the number of bytes and data we transmit every month, and we are simply running out of spectrum. There's another problem, that is efficiency. These 1.4 million cellular radio masts or base stations consume a lot of energy. And mind you, most of the energy is not used to transmit the radio waves, it is used to cool the base stations. Then the efficiency of such a base station is only at about 5%. And that creates a big problem. Then there's another issue that you're all aware of. You have to switch off your mobile phones during flights. In hospitals, there are security issues. And security is another issue. These radio waves penetrate through walls. They can be intercepted, and somebody can make use of your network if he has bad intentions. So these are the main 4 issues.
But what if there was an easy, cheap, efficient solution for providing internet services to these large, economically booming populations like India? Well, that's where LIFI comes in. So what is LIFI? So I talked about LIFI in my first video, but let's take another look at what it is. LIFI is a wireless communication technology which utilizes light to transmit data and position between devices. And let's go back over here to this TED Talk and let Harold Haas explain it a little bit better.
And we have 14 billions of these light bulbs. Light. And light is part of the electromagnetic spectrum. So let's look at this in the context of the entire electromagnetic spectrum, where we have gamma rays. You don't want to get close to gamma rays, it's simply dangerous. X-rays, useful when you go to hospitals. Then there's ultraviolet light. It's good for nice suntan, but otherwise dangerous for the human body. Infrared is due to eye safety regulations, can be only used with low powers. And then we have the radio waves, the issues I've just mentioned. And in the middle there, we have this visible light spectrum. It's light. And light has been around for many millions of years. And in fact, it has created us, it has created life, has created all the stuff of life. So it's inherently safe to use. It wouldn't be great to use that for wireless communications. Not only that, I compared the entire spectrum. I compared the radio waves spectrum, the size of it, with the size of the visible light spectrum. And guess what? We have 10,000 times more of that spectrum, which is there for us to use. So not only that we have this huge amount of spectrum, let's compare that with the number I've just mentioned. We have 1.4 million expensively deployed, inefficient radio cellular base stations. And multiply that by 10,000, then you end up at 14 billion. And 14 billion are the number of light bulbs installed already. So we have the infrastructure there. Look at the ceiling. You see all these light bulbs. Go to the main floor, you see these light bulbs. Can we use them for communications? And yes, what do we need to do? And there's one thing we need to do is we have to replace these inefficient incandescent light bulbs, fluorescent lights, by these new technology of LED light bulbs. An LED is a semiconductor, it's an electronic device. And it has a very, very nice and cute property. Its intensity can be modulated at very high speeds, and it can be switched off at very high speeds. And this is a fundamental basic property that we exploit with our technology.
So LIFI uses the modulation of light intensity to transmit data, and this can be in any LIFI-enabled light, whether it's in your car, smart city, or in your home. And companies like Pure LIFI are making it possible for people to access LIFI through their LIFI-enabled smartphone cases. These are fitted with light antennas that enables the bidirectional flow of data. One antenna here is front-facing, and the other antenna is top-facing. So now imagine the ease of connecting populations with the internet. So now let's go back to India. So LIFI in India, we see how can LIFI technology be penetrated in India? We go down here, linking rural communities with the internet. In today's era, we cannot think of growth and development without the internet. Still, many rural parts of the country are away from the impact of digital technology. Using LIFI technology in rural communities can help increase the penetration of the internet into rural areas. However, the continuous supply of electric is one of the biggest challenges in the way of upgrading India digitally. How to establish an internet connection in these areas where the availability of electricity is so random. Thanks to light fidelity technology, it can combine with solar cells as receiver solutions that supply communication access to the rural areas. Hence, in this way, people living in underdeveloped and rural areas can enjoy the myriad of benefits that come along with high-tech internet technology. And if you go over here, this is back in 2018, the Indian government was already testing LIFI. So right now, there is a perfect storm forming for the explosion in XRP use. And LIFI technology could be the catalyst that would help blow the lid off for XRP price. First, we have a very large unbanked population. These unbanked make up 25% of the world's population. And soon we will have the tech deployed, LIFI, that will help to bank these unbanked through the use of LIFI-enabled smartphone cases and financial apps that will replace existing way of banking. Next, there's Ripple, who's been embedding themselves into the banks of these emerging BRIC nations like India and creating partnerships like the one we saw recently with the financial tech company People, who will be using Ripple's ODL service in the Middle East. We are in the beginning of the next industrial revolution, and two of the biggest players in this new industrial revolution will be LIFI companies like Pure LIFI and financial companies like Ripple, who will make these undeveloped countries like India explode economically, making their middle class boom like America's boomed after World War II. If you want to know the reason for the SEC lawsuit against Ripple, this video points to a small part of the reason. Crypto will be the infrastructure for the next 100 years of finance, and there is a huge war going on for who will be the leader in this space and who will control the trillions coming from this new financial system. We've seen through ETHgate that there's a certain group of people who are trying to slow down Ripple for the benefit of Ethereum. We've also seen that ETH seems to be controlled by large banks who are wanting to control this new financial system and do not want, under any circumstances, fintech companies like Ripple to take the lead. Honestly, I don't think the lawsuit's going to make any difference. We've heard Bragg House say that 95% of their growth is coming from nations other than the US. I think the SEC is just trying to put their finger in a leaking dam, hoping that what they're doing will make a difference. Whether we like it or not, America will not be the center for the next financial explosion in the world. America's relevance and influence is quickly shrinking. I mean, I don't like it. I'm in the US. It's just the way it is. This huge financial explosion will come from the BRIC nations like India and the Middle East, where Ripple's large footprint can already be seen. So that's going to be it for this one. Please do me a favor, like, subscribe, and comment down below. Tell me what you liked or didn't like about this video. That's going to help me get a lot better at doing this. And so until next time, take care.